The Scarlet Enclave is a huge new raid coming in Season of Discovery Phase 8, launching on April 10th. And April 8th is when the phase starts, but the 10th is when the raid begins. And the Scarlet Enclave is rather interesting because there is a huge cast of characters, some returning, some new, and some we've known before, but we get to see them again in a completely different light. Now, the 8 bosses are Balnazzar, Beatrix, Lilian Voss, the Beastmaster, Mason, Solistrasza, the Reborn Council, and Caldoran. Now, you may know some of those names and be even curious why some of those characters are here. And I'm gonna get to each boss individually, but you can fast forward to the boss you're interested down below looking at the timestamps. To start off with, we have Balnazzar. Now, Balnazzar is the last boss at the end of Stratholme Live in the dungeon in Classic WoW and further expansions, and he possesses somebody called Grand Crusader Dathro Han. Now, Dathro Han is a crusader that is essentially the Grand Crusader, the name is what it is, and once you get Balnazzar down to half health, he sheds his mortal coil and becomes Balnazzar, in which we defeat him and then banish him. But you can't really kill a demon unless you kill them in the Twisting Nether, and that's not something that comes out till Legion in the context that we get to go to it. So we do not get to kill Balnazzar in Classic WoW when we defeat him. Since we defeated Balnazzar in a dungeon, why is he back again? And my thought process is, we don't actually defeat Balnazzar in the dungeon, but lore-wise we defeat him in the Scarlet Enclave. So the first boss is going to be a 2-phase fight. Phase 1 is Grand Crusader Dathro Han, and once you defeat him or lower him to 50% or 25% or even 0% health, Balnazzar sheds the mortal coil, becomes Balnazzar, and then we have to defeat Balnazzar all over again. Now, lore and story-wise, Beatrix and Caldoran, High General and Scarlet Inquisitor, tell you at the beginning with quest lines in the PTR that Balnazzar has moved its operation to Tyr's Hand, while Beatrix and Caldoran helped us with the Argent Dawn and Naxxramas, and has banished them from the Scarlet Crusade. That's right, Beatrix and Caldoran were removed, and they don't get to come back to the Scarlet Crusade until we defeat Balnazzar, who was the first boss, which ties us directly into the second boss, High General Beatrix. Beatrix and Caldoran help us defeat Balnazzar, and as soon as he's been defeated, they turn on us and become bosses within the Scarlet Enclave raid. That is correct. Now, Beatrix is High General, and I expect her to be a phase-based fight similar to Razorgore or things of that nature, where she sends swarm after swarm of Scarlet Crusaders against us. Remember, we are betrayed by Beatrix and Caldoran, because as soon as Balnazzar is defeated, they turn on us. And I think she's not necessarily going to be a hard fight. I think she's meant to be like an intro fight, kind of get you situated and prepared for the Scarlet Crusade. I do believe she is phase-based, but I could be wrong. That is my opinion on her. Now, as High General, she controls the Scarlet military, hence she is the General. We won't exactly learn more about the exact definition and abilities that these bosses possess until the raid comes out, because there has been no testing whatsoever, and I don't think there is going to be any real testing for the Scarlet Enclave, so the devs are keeping this on the lock and key, and we're going to find out everything when we actually get into the raid for the first time on April 10th. Now, the third boss is Lilian Voss, and now this is really interesting because Lilian Voss is a Forsaken assassin, but most people don't know this, she used to be part of the Scarlet Crusade. That's right, her father is Benedictus Voss, High Priest of the Scarlet Crusade. And now, storyline and stuff that happens in Cataclysm onwards, I'm not going to really spoil that if you haven't done it yet. It's interesting lore and stories, but it is what it is. Lilian Voss is a master assassin, and she's going to be an assassin boss. I expect that to mean she's going to have stealth mechanics, you have to dodge this, daggers, you know, she's going to teleport behind random players. Again, we are the reason she ends up dying, because she gets resurrected in Cataclysm as a Forsaken, but nobody really knew much about her lore beforehand aside from the fact that she was part of the Scarlet Crusade. So the players being the reason she is defeated, killed, and then eventually resurrected by the Forsaken in Cataclysm, it's just rather interesting, all things considered. Now we move on to the fourth boss, the Beastmaster. And the Beastmaster is essentially like Houndmaster from Scarlet Monastery dungeon. There isn't much lore or story or mechanics to base off of him. We know essentially nothing about him, and nothing has really been data mined either. I expect this to be a beast type fight where he sends wave after wave of beasts at us, or for example, it's a 4-phase fight. You gotta defeat his first beast, then his second beast, then his third beast, and then once all the beasts are dead, then you get to fight the Beastmaster himself. Again, take it with a grain of salt. We're just basing what we know about these bosses based off their name and the little bit of vague information we have. Now, the 5th boss, Mason, is the interesting one because his name is essentially Mason. There is no Grand Mason name or Grand Mason Bob, for example. It's just Mason. But you get to fight a tank. That's right. I expect Mason to be the Grand Mason of the Scarlet Crusade, the person that builds these massive cathedrals, that builds these massive fortifications, that does the things the Scarlets need to do because that is what they do. They build ginormous fortifications wherever they go because human supremacy. Now again, it's a tank, it's a ginormous vehicle. Mechanics wise, I expect this to be a bunch of charge mechanics. Oh, he's charging this way, dodge. Oh, he's doing this, dodge. He's raining hellfire around us, get out of the way, get into the way, you know, just do what you have to do. I think this is just going to be a lot of positional movement based fighting, so make sure you don't stand in the fire is the best way I can put it. The 6th boss though is Solistrasza, and Solistrasza is interesting because she is a green dragon, but she's not actually a green dragon in the way that we know. So you see, right behind the ginormous cathedral in northern New Avalon, at the top of the mountain and behind it is a dragon statue. Now there used to be holes right where this dragon statue is, and you would do a fight underneath there. And then the dragon would burst through the ceiling and come and fight you. Similar to Sunken Temple, where you would actually have to get out of the way right after you killed the 6 trolls, and then the dragons drop in down. This is going to be the same as that. That was removed from the PTR, so it's not there anymore, but I assume the mechanic is still going to stay the same. Now, it's another dragon fight, it's another dragon boss. There really isn't much to say about Solistrasza except for the fact that, hey, another dragon, let's get it. Essentially, every raid is at a dragon for the most part, not counting AQ. The 7th boss is the most interesting and is likely going to be most people's favorite because it is the Reborn Council. Now, the Reborn Council is interesting because we know for a fact that Herod is back. And if Herod is back, that could mean Sally Whitemane and Mograine is all back together. Now, part of me kind of hopes that the Reborn Council is headed by Garithos, but I don't think they're going to do that, but it would be a really cool Easter egg and a really cool throwback to Garithos. He's essentially a forgotten character, but one of Warcraft 3's most iconic in his rather vitrilistic racism. But essentially, the Reborn Council is multiple characters from the Scarlet Crusade's past, brought back to life and ready to fight. And we know Herod is there because we've data mined a much better, bigger, more badass coloration of Herald's shoulder that is rather iconic for all warriors and paladins. Mechanic wise, this is either going to be you gotta defeat all 3 people within 10 seconds of each other, so it's gonna be you lower Sally Whitemane to 10, then Herald to 10, then Mograine to 10, and then you nuke all 3 at the same time. Or it's going to be you defeat 1, then the second one drops, and you gotta defeat 2, then you gotta defeat the 2 of them, then the 3rd boss drops, and you gotta defeat all 3 together. So it's kind of like a 3-phase fight. It's gonna be one of those 2 things. That's how most council fights go for the most part. And a council fight is rather iconic. It's a very Blizzard fight. They do this in essentially every other raid tier. So it's really cool that Classic is getting its own version of a council fight. Sounds fun. Now the 8th boss is the most interesting one because this is Caldoran, Scarlet Inquisitor. And him being the 8th boss is rather interesting because it's none of the other more important characters. It's a brand new character introduced just in Season of Discovery. And Caldoran being the 8th boss makes it so that he orchestrated everything from Balnazzar's defeat to fighting him at the end. And since we never hear from him again, it means he dies here in the Scarlet Enclave. He was made to be born and killed for Season of Discovery. In terms of mechanics, being the Scarlet Inquisitor, I expect this to be you defeated everybody. But I plan for the defeat because I'm going to recreate the Scarlet Enclave from scratch. So thank you for getting rid of all the people I need to get rid of. Now, fight through all my traps and my machinations, just so I can defeat you in the exact way you thought you would defeat me. It's gonna be some kind of spicy dialogue, you guys know how it is, and then it's gonna lose and be defeated. And essentially, All 8 of these bosses will drop, well, I'm not sure which boss drops the exact component, but they drop the 3 components you need to make your Purified Ashbringer the legendary item. I don't know which boss it drops from. On top of that, there's the tier sets and everything else. The whole Scarlet Enclave raid put together is one of the most iconic raids they could have possibly made. People have been begging for and clamoring for a Scarlet raid for a very, very long time. Wrath of the Lich King could have been a good time to introduce one, but they chose not to. We did get the Trial of the Grand Crusader, but that's not really a Scarlet Crusade raid as much as it's an Argent Dawn one. Now, there's likely going to be a mount drop from here. There's the Legendary, the brand new tier set. And in my opinion, I do want to clarify, I think the tier sets are not as good as they could have been. I'm really excited for them, but the fact that all 3 cloth classes are the exact same set but just a new color instead of fully custom tier 4 for all the classes is disappointing. But I'll take what we can get. This is a good first step. Makes me excited for Phase 9 and Classic Plus and things in the future. Also, I should clarify, I will be doing another video close to launch once we learn more. And if we do not learn more before, I'll be doing a full in-depth guide of all the bosses once the raid does launch. So thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. If you hated it, understandable. Dislike and subscribe so you can hit my next video too. So thank you all for watching. Ebenhard out. Peace.